But now we're going to stay with the NBA. And big story came out Tuesday night, but everybody was talking about it yesterday and still today. A story in the New York Daily News. We had the writer Christian Winfield on yesterday, Ephraim. His story mainly was this, that the Nets, according to his sources, this is a direct quote, outright unwilling, right? Not leaning toward, not contemplating, considering, thinking about, outright unwilling to give Kyrie Irving a long-term contract extension. I will give you my brief summation of this situation, Ephraim, and then I can't wait to hear your thoughts.
Okay.
Kyrie's awesome. I think Kyrie's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's the greatest ball handler in NBA history. He's fantastic. But if I was running the Nets, there's no way I would give him a long-term contract extension. And if I were the Nets, Kyrie's got about a month to make his decision whether to opt out of the last year of his deal, which will pay him $36 million a year, or to opt in and just play on this year and then next year get a new deal. I would tell Kyrie, look, we love you. And real talk, we love you. I go to him respectfully. Kyrie, we want you here. That has not changed. You've been here 3 years. We view you as a foundational piece. And we know we can win a championship with you and Kevin, and we want you here. But we can't. And put it on the owner. I'm sure the owner will be cool. Put Joe side, he's not willing to go there yet. You know, you only played 20 games first year because of injury. Last year, you missed a lot of games. You know, you took a few personal leaves, missed 9 games because of that. And obviously this year with the vaccination, he's not willing to commit right now. So what we need to do this year, we got a great team. You, KD, Ben Simmons will be here. We think we can win a championship. Let's go out, get it done this year. We need you to be all in, committed, playing as many games as you can. And then, you know, we'll discuss this after next season. But let's go all in now. Now, I don't know if Kyrie will buy it, but I'd be like, look, if you opt out, we're only offering a 1-year deal. 1 year, maybe 2 years with a team option for the second year, but we're not going long term right now. And if you opt out, Kyrie, here's the teams that have money to give you the max. Detroit, which I doubt would do it. They're giving the ball to Cade Cunningham, right? He's their guy. They don't want to take it out of his hands and have Kyrie be the show. San Antonio, you want to go there? I doubt they trying to get Kyrie. Indiana, you want to go there? Portland, I mean, they're a mess, you know. And then Orlando, which is going young. And so I don't know that the teams with cap room, Ephraim, want Kyrie. And I'm sure Kyrie don't want to play for those teams. Everybody knows he wants to be in Brooklyn. They knew it before the season ended. And then as soon as the season ended, he said it at the press conference. I want to be a part. I'm not going anywhere. In fact, I got to sit down with Sean and Steve and KD, and we got to build this thing, right? So and Ephraim, if I'm another GM, I'm saying, okay, Kyrie wants to be in Brooklyn, is from New Jersey nearby, rooted for the Nets all of his life, is playing with one of his great friends who's an awesome player, and still is not reliable to be there. Not forget playing well, to be there. What in the world is he going to be like if he's somewhere he doesn't want to be? So I don't think Kyrie has much leverage unless KD goes to ownership and makes a demand. And I wouldn't even let that move me. There's no way right now I give Kyrie a long-term extension if I'm the Nets. Your thoughts?
So much of what you said is absolutely correct. Number one, when you're talking about opting out, and just for the people who don't understand that, like Kyrie has a player option worth $47 million next year. If he accepts the player option, then he's on Brooklyn for 1 more year for $47 million. If he declines it, it makes him a free agent. He can go anywhere, and for a 6-year max deal worth 50 something plus. So So that's what players do. Last year we saw with Chris Paul. He had a player option for $47 million. He declined it, got a long-term extension, $100 and some odd million.
About 30 a year,
right?
Yep.
That's what happens. Right? You don't,
and you do it to get the extended.
You get
year.
the extended year, right? And you know that's the formula. So what the Brooklyn Nets are hoping happens is that Kyrie does not accept the player option and hits.
Oh,
the
you
market.
think they want him to opt out?
I think they want him to opt out,
and it's for $36 million next year.
$36 million.
Yeah,
I think they want him to opt out.
Why?
Because then they don't have to deal with.
You think they don't want him?
I don't think they want him, and I'll tell you why. Now, look, it's nothing with his talent. We
know
he's one of the most talented players, but as a professional athlete, and I was one for 13 years. I made a lot of sacrifices, as did my teammates and everyone else in the league. The one thing that an organization asks of you is to be available, be present, and give everything you got. Those are the guidelines. If you can't do that, they can't trust you. And what I'm seeing here with Brooklyn is a lack of trust. Rightfully so.
Understandably, right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like, this isn't something, oh, they're picking on Kyrie. No, Kyrie decided to leave. You got to remember, earlier this year, right? He left. No one knew where Kyrie Irving was.
Right.
Not this year, last year. No one knew where he was. 2 weeks, he decided he needed
January 6th, the insurrection.
He needed some time. Right. But he didn't tell anybody. So everybody
and on that note, Ephraim, I mean, and that was a terrible event. And unfortunately, I mean, we've had several over the last few weeks.
Yeah, but what I'm telling you, the people who worked at the Capitol,
take off because of this.
The people who worked at the Capitol went to work on January 7th.
Yep.
The people who actually work at the Capitol.
Right.
And so for Kyrie plays basketball, and look, maybe he's an empath. He's very empathetic, and things like this happen, and they affect him more than other people. I get that, and that's okay. My oldest son is 10 years old. He's very empathetic. Everything that happens, it affects him a certain way. So I get that. I understand that. But when someone's paying you millions and millions of dollars to play basketball, right? Sometimes there's sacrifices that need to be, and I don't want to make it about the money. I want to make it more about the team.
Well, and look, even if you're not getting paid millions of dollars, even if you're not playing basketball, you got to go to work.
And I'm saying it's even more so if you're making generational money. Right. Even more so. The guy who's at Chevron making minimum wage, he got to show up.
Right.
Right? So, because he doesn't have something to fall back on. He can't miss 5 paychecks. And so, and so the thing with the vaccine is just another thing, right? I am more than positive.
People have forgotten about all the other stuff because of the vaccine.
Right. I'm more than positive. He is not the only player on the Brooklyn Nets that did not want to get vaccinated for whatever reason. But guess what all those guys did? They went out and got vaccinated. Why? Because they had a goal, and the goal is to win a championship. And they all had to be present and available to win a championship. But not Kyrie Irving.
Andrew Wiggins, who's having a breakout postseason.
Breakout year.
Didn't want to get vaccinated.
Breakout.
Now, let me ask you this. As a former professional athlete, how would you, real talk, how would you be feeling if you were a teammate? Now, none of them are obviously going to come out and say what they really feel one way or the other. But how would you really be feeling
James
if
Harden
you were in that? Right. He said it with his actions.
I got to go. You can't trust that guy. You can't trust him. Trust in a team sport is paramount, especially when you get to the professional level. I need to know, no matter what's going on, you're going to show up, right, and show out.
Right.
When it's time, like if I'm playing on the offensive line, I need to know my left guard wasn't out partying all night, hungover, doesn't know the game plan, half in, half out. Like that doesn't work for me. It doesn't work, and it doesn't work in team sports. And that's why you're having the situation you're having. And, oh, by the way, they have another guy on the roster the same way, Ben Simmons. So now you got two guys making almost $100 million between them next year who you can't depend on. You tell me, is Brooklyn signing up for that long term?
Ephraim, as interesting as this Kyrie Irving soap opera is, the Ben Simmons one is just as interesting. Because I've talked to people close to that situation. He really had a back injury.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A lot of it was either maybe brought on or exacerbated by his mental issues, right? The fear, the stress, whatever. And so physically, he's ready, from what I've been told. Physically, no reason he can't start training camp and be ready to go. But mentally, this summer he's going to be seeing, sports psychologists, working with the Nets on that. They're all on one page. But I got to be honest, man. I am not fully 100% convinced he's going to be playing at the start of the season because of the mental. And the thing is, he's going to have to look. He's not just going to be able to go see therapist and then feel awesome and then say, hey, I'm ready to play and no issue. You're going to still have some fears, have some doubts, have some insecurities about stepping on that court, playing, taking shots, and you have to fight through that.
That's what they pay you for.
Yep. That's life, too. That's life, too.
Welcome to the people who don't make that, who have to make that decision every day.
From the most interesting thing you said, one of the most interesting things you said, is that you don't think the Nets want him back. So we got to get into, okay, if they don't want him back, then how are they replacing him? All right, Ephraim and I are on the same page that no way you can give Kyrie Irving a long-term contract extension right now. I've talked to a few people around the league, Ephraim. A couple guys said, they might try him for a couple years, sign him for a couple years. It depends on the team. Like, let's say if you're the Knicks, would you sign Kyrie for 2 years? I would. I'm not going anywhere anyway. He's a must-see, entertainer player.
He's not going to take 2 years.
Well,
that's the thing, right? Like,
if he don't get more.
So think about this.
If nobody else gives him more.
Think about this. Think about what we know about Kyrie. And I don't want to speak for him because I don't know him personally, but I can just go off his actions. He's very contrary. He's very, I'm going to do things my way. That's just how he is. Right? I'm a free thinker. Right? That's him.
Absolutely.
So if he's on the open market and you got a team offering him, he doesn't want, he wouldn't decline his option for a 2-year deal. He wants a long-term deal. So what if
nobody's offering him 4 years?
If no one's offering him 4 years, that's the reality check, right? Okay. Now you got to look at yourself. But right now, there's no looking glass in front of him.
All right, let me give you one.
Okay.
You said you would let him walk if you're the Nets. I mentioned the teams with cap room. Mm-hmm. He ain't walking to none of them. I doubt he even wants to. So it will probably have to be a sign and trade. And I'm going to throw this out to you. I would not want to do this if I'm the Nets, but I think if I'm the Nets, I want Kyrie back for 1 year. I want him back next year, but you're different. You don't even want him this year. So I'm going to throw this out to you. It might sound crazy at first. And again, if I'm the Nets, I wouldn't necessarily do it, but I'm going to lay it out and lay out what I think could be the benefits for the Nets and see what you think. Kyrie Irving for Russell Westbrook. Obviously, you reunite Kyrie and LeBron in L.A., and you reunite Westbrook and Durant in Brooklyn. Hear me out.
Neither
hear
want
me.
That. Okay, go ahead.
Hear me out.
Go ahead.
Hear me out.
I'm going to hear you out.
LeBron would want it. Kyrie wants to stay where he's at, but if I got to move, heck, L.A. ain't that bad. I could see him wanting to be in L.A. if he can't be at home. I could see him. You've heard him talking on social media lately, all these interviews he's doing. He's talked fancifully of his time with LeBron. They obviously won a championship together. That's the only time Kyrie's won.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Boston's better without him. I don't think they'd be as good right now if they had Kyrie.
Absolutely not.
Right? As great as he's better than Marcus Smart, but still, there's a team, they wouldn't be better.
Everybody plays defense on Boston.
Yep.
He does not.
There you go. But the Lakers would be, look, Ephraim, I think they'd be phenomenal. Because LeBron has shown he can keep Kyrie in check. He can lead Kyrie. So Kyrie, Anthony Davis, LeBron, you're cooking with oil. Now, on the other side, because that's the issue, I think the Lakers would do it in a heartbeat. The issue, and give him, that's maybe the one team, Ephraim, if I could get him, if you take Westbrook off my hands, give me Kyrie, I will sign him for 4 years. I would sign him for 4 years because I got LeBron James who I know can lead him. And so the other side, if I'm Brooklyn, I don't think KD wants a reunion. Obviously left Westbrook. I don't think Westbrook particularly wants one. But at this point, KD, he inside, maybe deep down inside, he's like, man, like you said, I can't trust my boy. I love him, but come on. We here to play basketball. I can't count on him. I can count on Westbrook showing up. And if I'm the Nets, I'm like, look, I just had a dude that don't want to play. Now I can bring in a guy that is high energy, going to show up every night. For all his flaws, is going to give his all and brings a hustle and all that. And, Ephraim, no one has played better with Russell Westbrook than Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant doesn't need the ball in his hands. And so he's much better than LeBron off the ball. So we know he and Russ can work. They were a great team in OKC. Never won it, but still were a great team. Mm-hmm. So, and if it doesn't work, at worst case scenario, I get $50 million off my cap next year, after next season, because Westbrook's a free agent. But that's what I wonder. I'd be hesitant if I'm the Nets because Westbrook got his flaws. But if anybody that can work with him is Durant. And so what do you think about that? Like I said, I think the Lakers is a no-brainer. The question is the Nets.
So to keep this in context, he's eligible for a 5-year contract extension worth
Kyrie?
Yes.
But 4 years if he goes somewhere else.
Right. But 5 years with Brooklyn, it would have to be a sign and trade. Right?
Right.
So it would be a 5-year, $246 million deal. Right? That's all upwards of almost $50 million a year. For a guy you have zero idea what he'll do, when he'll show up, and how he'll respond. The pandemic isn't over, just FYI, for people who thought it was because we're going to concerts and wrestling matches. It's cool now.
It would be 4 years.
Right.
Sign and
but
trade.
It'll be a 4-year deal.
Sign and trade.
For $200 million. For $200 million.
You can only sign and trade for 4. I think it'd be like 181 or something like that.
I think it's 200. Well, no. You're right. 184 with the fourth year. Right? And so, like, as a GM and as an owner, if I were to come into a room and say, I can guarantee you Kyrie Irving is going to play 98% of all of those games, barring injury, in that 4 years, you would do it in a heartbeat. But because you can't come in and tell me that, I can't continue to hamstring my team on maybe he will
do it if you're the Lakers.
Maybe no. It makes
LeBron
sense.
will
The way
want
you,
it.
I know.
Said,
LeBron wants a lot of things.
Not, right.
A lot of things. LeBron wants a lot of things. But the last thing the Lakers need is to get rid of one headache and get a bigger one. That's the last thing they need. And you can say LeBron is going to do this and LeBron's going to do that. Well, why did Kyrie want to leave LeBron? Well, he was young and immature and he wanted to go somewhere else and do his own thing. It didn't work. He's want to get back to LeBron. At a certain point, ego is ego.
Right. That's fair.
right?
That's
and so
fair.
you got to be real careful and cautious when you're talking about $184 million fully guaranteed. So no matter what happens, you're going to have to write that check.
Would they have a chance to win the championship next year?
The Lakers?
Yes.
With Kyrie, if Kyrie plays the entire season,
I mean,
with LeBron and AD?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, that's
what
easy.
it's about. I'm here to win.
Yeah, but what are the chances?
High risk, high reward.
The Lakers have been in that business, and right?
I mean,
you got to remember they're paying a couple coaches that haven't coached.
For all the hand wringing over the AD trade now, you got a championship.
Yes, and thank God for the pandemic because it allowed LeBron and AD to rest for 2 months. It allowed them to rest for 2 months.